Today, ladies and gentlemen, we bring you something iconic. We bring you something legendary. We bring you a motorcycle that has, even today, been elevated to a cult status. It's a motorcycle you should know, with one of the most recognizable lines in the world. If you still don't know what we are talking about, let's have a history lesson.
And here is that history lesson.
The Suzuki Katana was first released in 1981 and it caused one hell of a stir. Part of that was down to its quasi-Darth Vader helmet looks, something completely different to anything the Japanese had ever done before. And this has much to do with the fact that it was actually designed by Germans. The other reason for the stir was that at the time it was the fastest mass production motorcycle in the world, pushing a then mind-boggling 111 horsepower. Also, it had carried over some features that were prevalent during the 70s, namely a big powerful engine with a flimsy frame and wobbly suspension. But that was okay, because it was less flimsy and less wobbly than anything else at the time.
So this is what it's like being in the 1980s. It's rather uncomfortable if I'm going to be really honest with you. I mean, my legs all squashed up, the foot pegs are really high, and the handlebars are all the way forward like this, so I'm in a really sort of awkward position. This thing is definitely made to be sort of crouched down, racing position. This is a racing bike. And yeah, apart from that, I mean, it's got brakes, but then you're never going to lock the front anytime soon. You're definitely not pulling any endos. And well, it's got power. It's got some, I mean, watch. Yeah, in the 1980s, you would feel like a supreme kingo on this thing. Even now, that's not too shabby.
So clearly, the Katana name is a beacon for high-speed madness and insanity. And now, 40 years after we got our first look at the Katana lunacy, we see it again, in a completely new and shiny package. But does it live up to that mad-capped Katana legacy?
Well, actually, no, it doesn't.
Technically, what you're looking at is one of these, a GSX S1000A, Suzuki's naked sports bike, but with a different frock on. It has the same chassis, the same electronics, and the same 150 horsepower motor that was originally found in the K5 GSX 1000. Apart from the frock, it has a different higher seat, higher handlebars, and a different digital dash. And so these two motorcycles should feel pretty much exactly the same. The theory that the universe is made up of the language of numbers would suggest that there is no real difference between these two. They should be exactly the same.
So as we said, this is essentially a GSX S1000, which we know very intimately because we raced the GSX 1000F, the full fairing version, in 2 years of endurance racing. We literally did 48 hours of racing on each year. So we know it very well. Now, it is a sport tourer, or it's based around a sport tourer, and a very, very good one. We know because, well, again, we raced it. The suspension works fantastically, it's comfortable, it's stable enough around corners, and although it feels quite big and bulky, it turns. It really does turn well into corners. The brakes are really good. I'm in a nice, comfortable position. I can sit here all day. It is brilliant in every way. 150 horsepower is also a lot, especially because it's tuned for a lot of mid-range, so you've always got a kind of on tap. And this one has been tuned slightly better. The last one was a little bit jerky on the throttle. This one is way smoother. More so, this specific bike, the Katana, has this lovely digital dash. It's a little bit complicated. It takes a while to get used to kind of looking at everything. There's a lot of numbers going on over there, but you do get used to it. And overall, this is a lovely, terrific motorcycle.
Except that here we get to the point where everything stops making sense. Mathematics says that these two bikes should be the same, but somehow they're not.
I know this is a straight line 4 motor, and traditionally those are a little bit sort of soulless, dare I say. Yet this one feels sort of so manly. It's got like such a raspy kind of feel to it. And yeah, just compared with this thing, I mean, this bike is taller than the others. It's a little bit higher, it's a little bit bulkier, and it gives us this really kind of manly feeling, like Dwayne Johnson, Sylvester Stallone, you know, I'm an angry sort of bike. But there's more to it than that. I know what I look like. I know that this looks like a katana. I can't see it right now, but, well, there's some hints going around. Yeah, I can see all the plastics and that. But I know that this looks like a katana. And do you know how cool that makes me feel? I was actually born sort of same time as the katana, but I grew up with parents and parents' friends and everybody telling me about the legendary katana. And now I'm sitting on one. It's not one of the originals, but it's a bike, a homage to that bike. And that makes me feel cool. And for that alone, this bike is better than all those others. It's better than many things. It's a fantastic motorcycle. I just feel cool. I feel happy. Motorcycles are not about numbers. They're about how they make you feel. This bike makes me feel special. It makes me feel good. I absolutely love it. More so, a big motorcycle like this is 185,000 Rand. That's a ridiculously good number. That's a very good number for this.
Has there ever been a motorcycle that's polarized opinion more than the Katana? You either love it or you hate it. There's no in-between ground, is there?
It is very Marmite, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I will say is, okay, every single time we get a new bike on the show, you get a lot of sort of admirers. People come and look at it. There was a very specific audience that liked this motorcycle, and that is motorcyclists. People, knowledgeable people.
Surprising?
No, it's only people who know what a katana is that come and admire it, but they come and like sort of, wow, kind of very lord over it. And so I mean, it is that very much that sort of.
So it's a motorcyclist motorcycle.
Yeah, but it's kind of cool in a way because it's sort of like Cambridge professors, kind of going through their notes. So it's a very knowledgeable sort of markage.
You've taken it a step too far there, I have to say. One thing I noticed, the original is a sports bike. It's got clip-on handlebars. It's a very racy riding position. The new one is a sports touring bike.
Yeah, it is sort of sports touring very much. But what we're thinking about is two things. First of all, people who like the original Katana probably now at this stage in their life would prefer a more kind of
a bit more comfortable,
a bit more upright, a bit more, that's fine. The other thing is if Suzuki were to make a Katana sports bike, where would they put it? I mean, they've got a GSX 1000 already, which is sort of their track machine, and a Hayabusa, which is sort of their high-speed machine. Where would a Katana go?
This is true. This is true. Let's move on to, I mean, you're generally very positive about the bike. Anything you don't like?
Yeah, we said sports tourer, didn't we? Well, the touring part is put into question by the fact that it has a 12-litre tank.
That's not very big, is it?
No, it's not big at all.
Which is surprising, because when I did ride the bike myself, it feels big at the front because you've got all this sort of bodywork, and yet it's got a tiny little tank.
Yeah, the thing is, it's all about kind of keeping the form of the bike. I mean, if they put a bigger tank in, then it ruins the lines.
True.
And this is about looks, so...
I noticed that actually with one of this bike's main rivals, which is the Kawasaki Z900, the RRS.
Sort of isn't.
It is and it isn't. But one thing I want to say about the Z9 is that if you look at it from the front, it's got a very wide tank, obviously to give it the capacity. But Suzuki haven't worried about that. They've gone for style over function.
Yeah, but I mean, the 900 RS, the original bike had one of those wide tanks anyway. So
it wasn't as wide as it is now.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
I mean, okay, talking about competition, the Z900 RS, it's sort of competition in that it is a Japanese retro bike. And that's it. I mean, the Katana is 150 horsepower versus the 900, which I think was 114. It's sort of, rivals, but not really rivals.
Look, it's Suzuki's attempt, as we said, at a retro bike. And what price are we looking at?
185,000 Rand, which that's really not bad at all.
It really isn't bad. And I mean, look, it's based on the GSX S1000, which, as we know, is utterly bulletproof. Yeah,
we used one as an endurance bike for, I think we did in total 2 years of racing, 48 hours each.
It was over 100 hours of racing that thing did, and it's still going strong.
And we set it on fire once, and it's still okay.
Yeah. Well, there we go. That's the new Suzuki Katana. It's a big deal for Suzuki and for Katana lovers. And thank you to Marinas for the loan of the original Katana. And if you are obsessed with the Katanas, then head to Smoking Ace's bar and grill.
In 4 Ways.
In 4 Ways on the 11th of August. There'll be a lot of them there. See you after the break.